The latest. Thank you for your love and support. I appreciate it. All tension is escalating between the United States of America and Europe. Things that we never thought we can live to see. Unbelievable. Imagine a world where your closet access suddenly becomes your biggest obstacle, where agreements you thought were unbreakable start to crumble overnight. This isn't a movie, it could be a reality, and it is happening right now in Europe. Unbelievable. We never thought we can live to see. We never thought a day like this will come. Europe is quietly weighing a move that until recently would have seemed unthinkable, using military access as a bargaining chip against the United States. That's right. European officials are reportedly considering restricting US forces from key bases across the continent. Why? Because tension over Greenland is escalating into something far bigger than a simple territorial dispute. What started as a disagreement over land is now threatening to reshape global power dynamics. What started as a disagreement over land is now threatening to reshape global power dynamics. A step like this wouldn't just ruffle feather, it could directly undermine Americans' ability to project power into hotspots across the Middle East, Africa, and even the Arctic. The stakes higher than ever. Trump and tariffs.
Trump's explosive demand over Greenland has triggered a transatlantic standoff, pushing European capitals to the edge. Behind closed doors, officials are weighing drastic countermeasures as trust fractures and tempers flare. Reports suggest Europe is even considering stripping U.S. access to key military bases, a move once unthinkable. This is no longer diplomacy. This is a NATO crisis, a power struggle shaking the alliance to its core. What once sounded like a provocation is now official U.S. policy. President Donald Trump has declared that Greenland must come under American control, calling it essential for U.S. national security and the deployment of his proposed Golden Dome missile defense system. Europe heard something else, a direct challenge to sovereignty. According to The Economist, the European Union is quietly discussing extreme countermeasures, economic sanctions, trade tariffs, and most explosively, the threat of removing U.S. access to European military bases.
Listen carefully to this warning that's coming straight out of Europe. If you take Greenland, we'll take every single American base, from Aviano to Ramstein. From Romania to all the others, you lose them all, and you lose the entire position of American power since World War II. That's not hyperbole, that's a line in the sand. Greenland isn't just ice and land. It's tied to NATO, European sovereignty, and the alliances that has made the U.S. a global superpower since World War II. The U.S. doesn't dominate Europe by force. It does so by permission and partnership. Those bases, they exist because allies allow them to. So when talk of taking Greenland comes up, Europe is reminding Washington of a simple truth. You don't get empire benefits without alliance responsibilities. Try to act unilaterally, and the entire global military map changes overnight. This isn't about left versus right. This is about if America understands just how fragile their power actually is. Stay tuned for more geopolitical breakdowns you won't see on cable news. Share your thoughts in the comments section and follow me for more.
Now, several European leaders have pushed back against US President Donald Trump's threat to impose new 10% tariffs on imports from their countries as punishment for opposing his plans to annex Greenland. Scandinavian nations, plus Germany, France, the Netherlands and the UK and Finland are all affected by the punitive tariff hike. The development comes amid protests in Nuuk, Greenland's capital, where several thousand people took to the streets on Saturday. The protesters chanted slogans and sang traditional Inuit songs. Thousands also turned out in the Danish capital, Copenhagen, and several other Danish cities. Greenland is an autonomous territory within Denmark. Now let's get the view from Washington and bring in DW's U.S. correspondent Misha Komardovsky. Misha, first of all, why do you think Trump announced those extra tariffs today?
Well, it underscores how determined President Trump is to press his very own goals. In a post on Truth Social, he says that the United States will impose 10% tariffs on several European countries unless Denmark agrees to what he calls the complete and total purchase of Greenland. He frames this move as a global national security issue, arguing that the U.S. has long subsidized Denmark and the EU through tariff-free trade and to security protection. Trump claims that China and Russia are seeking Greenland as well, insists only the U.S. can secure it, and warns tariffs would rise to 25% on June 1st and remain in place until a deal is reached.
Still, why today? I mean, a delegation of U.S. lawmakers, both Republicans and Democrats, are in Copenhagen right now seeking to reassure Denmark and Greenland of their support. Does this mean there's resistance in Congress to Trump's announcement?
Well, here in Washington, 2 points actually stand out. First, Trump says that he doesn't want to have Russia as a neighbor should Moscow get Greenland. But the U.S. already borders Russia across the Bering Strait, or Beringov Proliv in Russian, near Alaska. Second, he says it's a matter of national security worldwide. As we know, Greenland already hosts a major U.S. military base, raising the question of why Washington couldn't just expand its presence there through NATO instead. On top of that, some of his allies stress that Greenland should be acquired through a purchase, not a military takeover here, and taking it by force would all but rule out any chance of President Trump receiving a Nobel Peace Prize next year, something he is widely known to be seeking.
Could this mark a turning point in transatlantic relations? Every move, every statement now carries weight. If America and EU will even go out in public to argue, talk less of threatening each other, because now EU is saying that they have had enough of the United States of America using the power that they also have against the United States of America, like we want Africans to do. Whenever they threaten us with tariffs, with sanctions, we also have something that we can use against these people. We have our resources. We then decide not to sell to them like Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso leaders are doing. But instead of the African to activate the power that we have, that is the time we will now go and be begging, lobbying, looking for lobbies to go and lobby with our own money to give to these people to spare us. But EU is saying that they will stand on their ground, they will defend Greenland, because they know that after Greenland, this man will not stop there. He will continue to demand more, and they are seeing the danger ahead of them. So they need to prepare, and that is why this time they are looking for means and ways to go back to Russia, because if the United States of America, something should happen to them, they know militarily they can never stand to defend themselves against the United States of America. So they need a power that will back them. These people are just like us, but they are faster a bit than us, because at least certain times we see that EU will rise up to do something together, but African Union will always be mute if nations are targeted in Africa. We've seen the sanctions, the tariffs that we've received, and African Union will never speak in one voice against anything that these people are doing against the African, like EU did. Just 8 countries sanctioned. We've seen that EU has come out with a statement, and they are also ready to fight for their own liberation. This is what a union should stand for, and not what we are having as unions in Africa, whereby African nations will be targeted, and yet we'll never see these people rising together as a voice to fight for the liberation and the protection of the African. Now we are seeing that these two powers are fighting against each other. At least this is the time that Africa needs to start putting things together. It is in our favor. So we need to put things together, prepare ourselves, and stop doing the talking. We have talked for a very long time. This is what our leaders have been doing. This is what our leaders have been doing for all these years, and there's no result. And instead of them to change their approach, they keep using the same old tactics, expecting different results. The world is at war. It's just that the African is refusing to see the danger ahead of us. And this is the time we all need to put our heads together We need to prepare towards what is happening. And we must be ready, because the world will not wait for you, the African, to prepare yourself and face it. We need to be ready, because this is the only time we have to prepare ourselves. Not for us to wait till the time comes before you see the African preparing towards anything. We are always waiting for things to happen before we now start thinking about what to do. We need to prepare towards what will happen. Whether it happens or not, we always need to be ready. We always need to be ready. We are the only ones that can set ourselves free. United we stand, divided we fall, and united we keep standing forever and ever. The greatest enemy of the African is mental slavery. So let's decolonize ourselves from mental slavery. Let's keep sharing to educate our brothers and sisters. Together we make Africa great for ourselves and the next generations that are going to come. So that's the latest around the world and in Europe.